Listen, this USA hockey situation is absolutely insane. Let's start with Donald Trump joking about having to also invite the women's hockey team or else he'd get impeached. If it was a joke, it wasn't a funny joke. And knowing his track record, it honestly probably wasn't a joke at all. And let's also be clear that the women's hockey team worked just as hard as the men's hockey team to win their gold medal. And honestly, in the big scheme of things, our women's hockey team is technically better than the men's hockey team if you really look at the way they won their gold medal. The men survived to win that gold medal. Now, at the end of the day, the end result's the same. They both brought home gold, they both represented their country, and both teams deserve our respect and admiration. It just sucks that the women's accomplishment was minimized, even if you want to characterize that minimization as a joke. I'm sure that any athlete who wins a gold medal in the Olympics would like to meet their president. I mean, maybe not this president, because if we're being honest, he kind of sucks. But meeting the president, the most powerful man in the world, the person who runs your country that you're out there representing, you know, that's kind of an honor after you bring home a gold when representing said country. But then being made to feel less than or as a joke after such a great accomplishment, that's gotta suck. I don't know what'll happen if they end up meeting him or not, but at the end of the day, it's just a terrible situation to put that team in. Both teams, to put both teams in. And that's my next point. Everything doesn't need to be made political. The celebration that took place after our men's hockey team won their first gold medal in 46 years did not need to be made political. The Cold War's over. We weren't fighting the Russian Reds this time. We were playing Canada. They won a great game. They won the gold medal. It didn't need to be made political. Now, I'm not a hockey guy. I don't particularly like hockey. My favorite hockey content involves Biz and Whitney from Spittin' Chicklets, and I prefer their non-hockey content, to be honest with you. But I do know a little bit about hockey. I married into a hockey family, and I've absorbed a bit through osmosis. What I do know is that most of these dudes are probably not versed in the nuances of geopolitical politics. They're probably not even well versed in the politics of our own country. They know puck, they're professional athletes, they're focused on that. When they were 12 years old, they probably went to boarding school for hockey. When they were 16, they probably went to another boarding school and played semi-pro, and their whole life has been hockey since they could skate. They're not worried about politics, and that's okay. They shouldn't be put in a position you have to be political unless they choose to be. And what happened instead was they were thrust into a political spotlight that none of them ever asked for. I'm sure a lot of these guys care about the women's hockey team and they're friends with them and they respect them. And that being said, I would never expect any of them to call out the President of the United States while he's on a phone call congratulating them for the bad joke that he made. They shouldn't have to. They should have never been put in that position to begin with. So here's my question. Who let Kash Patel into that locker room? Whose genius idea was that? It seems like it would have been simple enough to keep him out. Like, hey man, listen, the team's gonna celebrate together. They won the gold. They're gonna do this as a team and celebrate. No googly-eyed goblins allowed. Kash Patel isn't the president. He's not the vice president. He's technically not even a politician, and he shouldn't be acting like one. At least we would expect him not to act like one. He's the director of the FBI. None of it makes any sense. And unfortunately for our men's hockey team, they lost their right to say that none of this should be made political the moment that he became part of that celebration in the locker room. The moment he walked in that door, the moment he became part of it, they lost that right. And even if they didn't have a say in it, they were put in that position by somebody. The minute that that creepy little cross-eyed troll started jumping around and dumping beer on himself and acting like he was one of the boys, it became political. At that point, the political doors weren't only open, the team became part of that conversation. And I would say that it's a fair assumption to guess that 75% of the dudes in that locker room didn't even know who Kash Patel was, or didn't know everything that surrounds him politically. And I feel bad for those players in particular. But also, let's be honest, like Kash Patel wasn't standing in the background watching the team celebrate. He literally made himself the centerpiece of that team's accomplishment and their celebration. He became the focus of it. And that's embarrassing for him. It's embarrassing for the FBI. And it's embarrassing for our country, honestly. The head of the Federal Bureau of Investigations was on international television celebrating with a hockey team in Italy, dumping beer all over himself, chugging a beer, acting a complete fool. And if you ask me, that's pretty disrespectful, not only to our taxpayer dollars that brought him there, but also to the team's accomplishment and the players who actually did something to win that medal, for him to steal the spotlight in that moment. And the conversation after, that's been more focused on that rather than the fact that they won the medal. That moment, one of the biggest moments of all of those players' lives, was hijacked by the director of the FBI to be used as political propaganda, albeit a weird and tone-deaf attempt at political propaganda that really ended up just backfiring in everybody's face. I can't express how uncomfortable and icky it felt to watch a federal agent hijack that and just make that celebration all about himself. Like, what a loser. Honestly, like, what a loser. And if you need more proof of what a loser this dude is, just look at his tweet where he calls the men's team his friends and talks about how happy he is to share this moment with the boys. The boys. Let's be honest. These dudes would have stuffed Kash Patel in a locker in high school. They're not his boys. All we hear from athletes is how they want it to be about the sport, and they want athletics to be separate from politics and not be made political. And the best moment in American hockey in 46 years is hijacked by a political lightning rod with crossed eyes and no social skills. So I don't know what the situation is. I hope the women receive equal honor to the men's team. They might not. I'm not watching the State of the Union address tonight, but my assumption is that the men's hockey team will be there. They went to the Oval Office today. And again, in a weird act of like having a connection to it, Trump put their medal on. Like, the dude didn't earn that. He's never earned any athletic achievement in his life. Puts on a gold medal like it's his. It's weird. And maybe another president's done that before. That's also weird. I don't know. It's a weird, dumb, frustrating situation. I'll come out with some more entertainment content sometime this week. This was just eating at me, so I felt the need to talk about it. So, if you like this video, like, subscribe, or don't. That's cool. I don't really care. But do me a favor and light the comment section up down below. Let me know how much taxpayer money you think it cost for Kash Patel to fly to Italy, dump beer all over himself, and ruin the celebration for the men's hockey team.